It's Transfer News Daily, a little bit later than normal. It's normally a 7 a.m, but it is the day the transfer window opens, so I thought I would start it with a live stream to give it that real sort of finesse and attitude and desire that we want to see from Manchester United going into this transfer window. And we've got some good stories to talk about. I'm going to start off with this Pogba story from Juventus because ultimately I think we're more interested in players coming in the door, but we know that players are going to go out the door. As I've said, with Paul Pogba, it's very simple. It's like this. Manchester United don't want to sell Paul Pogba. He's not for sale. But most of this will depend on what Paul Pogba wants to do. Does he want to leave? Will he force a move? Now, a lot of people talk about Real Madrid and Zidane with Pogba, and I think that is ultimately where he would want to go if he's going to go somewhere. But this story is very interesting from Italy, and it's talking about Juventus, because Juventus... I don't think it's... Look, I think Pogba would probably, if he had the choice, he probably wants to go to Real Madrid. But I think if he was given the choice of Manchester United or Juventus, I still think he would go to Juventus. I don't think he's happy at Manchester United. So, I think that's probably the case with him. And it could happen. So the Italian reports are that Manchester United would be offered Paulo Dybala and Douglas Costa for Paul Pogba. Now, I am immediately put off by this deal, whereas I think some of you might be very excited by that deal. Pogba will make the decision about whether he wants to be at the club, and the United will then make a decision about whether they're going to sell him and how they want to do that. Paulo Dybala is a good friend of Paul Pogba, so it doesn't make sense to me that we would give Juventus Pogba to get Dybala. I think Dybala would be coming to United to play with Pogba if that's going to happen. As I said about Dybala, mid-20s, good player, inconsistent, and I would have massive concerns about him coming to United. I really would. I think it could. I'd be more inclined to think he would be a flop than a success. Douglas Costa, 28, but going to be 29 very soon. He's only played about 50% of Juventus's games this season as well. So I certainly think he's a player that Juventus would be looking to move off, and he's definitely a player that United have been linked to a lot over the last couple of years. On his day, he's unplayable. Douglas Costa on his day is unplayable. He's absolutely fantastic. He's quick, he's skillful, he can create, he can score. He's a brilliant winger, and he can play on the right wing. I just have concerns again about taking players that, I know that we're in the Europa League. I know we're nowhere near the title, but I still am very adamantly staunch behind Manchester United. I still believe we're one of the biggest clubs in the world. And I say biggest clubs in the world in the sense that, we are a big club. In the footballing terms, we're nowhere near. We're Stoke. But, in relation to who we are, I'm very proud of who we are as a football club. And my issue with it is that Pogba is obviously a player that Juventus would want, and then they'll give us a couple of players they don't really want anymore. And that, how does that ever work? How does that work when a team takes a player they really want and then gives you two players they don't really want? And those two players are basically leaving Juventus because it's not working out. So are they hungry to come to Manchester United, or is it just a convenience? So not for me. Not for me. I'm not interested in Dybala. I like Costa. And I think he could work, but I also feel that Jadon Sancho, Steven Bergwijn, Leon Bailey, there's loads and loads of people who can play off the right-hand side that I think would work better for Manchester United than Douglas Costa, and especially age-wise as well. Let's talk about Wilfried Zaha, though. This is sort of bombing around a lot today. 26 years of age. I think he's actually 27 very soon, Wilfried Zaha. Maybe somebody can check that on us. He's a centre-forward. Straight away, anyone who thinks that Wilfried Zaha would come to Manchester United and play as a right winger, you seriously need to look at where Wilfried Zaha has been playing over the last couple of seasons. He is not a right winger. He's mostly played as a centre forward or as a left forward for Crystal Palace, but mainly as a centre forward. So that's where you'd be looking to use him for Manchester United. He'd basically be a competitor for Martial and Rashford, and maybe that makes you happy. He's still got a contract till 2023 with Crystal Palace. Apparently he's come out and said that he would like to go. Obviously he's been at Manchester United before. I know there's a lot of people, I saw Rance was on about it, a few other people on about it, saying they'd love Wilfried Zaha back at Manchester United. Don't shout at yourself, Mark, but Wilfried Zaha back at Manchester United. I'm never a really big fan of going back. I don't think it's a very good idea to go back. I mean, look at Pogba. Look, Pogba's a prime example. I was very excited about it, but has it been a success? Memphis Depay, Wilfried Zaha, they've all been here, and I know it's a different regime and it could work out, but I'm not actually massively overawed about getting Wilfried Zaha back to Manchester United. He wouldn't be cheap either. He would cost a minimum of £60 million because of the length of his contract, because Crystal Palace don't want to sell. There's no doubt he's a good player, but I just don't think he's what Manchester United need. And I don't actually think he would want to come back to Manchester United. I know we could sell it as a different regime, but it's not totally a different regime, is it? Ed Woodward was in charge at the time, and he had a very bad experience, which he's been very vocal about. So I don't see Wilfried Zaha coming to Manchester United. I would imagine he's probably more interested in a move to a Spurs or an Arsenal, or maybe an abroad move, but I don't see him coming to Manchester United. But it's an interesting one because a lot of United fans would quite like him. Zaha wants to go to Arsenal if they get Champions League over us, says Rafael Mara. Again, this is the problem. This is the problem Manchester United will face. Players may well choose Arsenal over us because of Champions League football. We've got to embrace that. I was talking about this yesterday. We've got to embrace the fact of who we are. And we may well have to deal with breadcrumbs. I mean, I think Manchester United are trying to get deals done soon. Our season is over. Our players are on holiday. A lot of clubs are still playing. Like I say, Italy, Serie A doesn't end till the end of the month. You've got a Champions League game at the start of June, Europa League at the end of May, FA Cups. So a lot of people are still very much involved. United need to be using this time to their advantage. Lewandowski is the next player I'm going to talk about. This was coming from German reports that Manchester United looking for a replacement for Lukaku. I tell you what, that they've sold me straight away. A replacement for Lukaku, happy days. I mean, we've not bloody sold him yet, and I'm not convinced that we will. But Lewandowski, being linked to Manchester United, he always seems to pop up every summer. I think I know that we talk about Lewandowski every summer. Apparently, he had fisticuffs with Kingsley Coman in training a month ago, which is probably why some people are floating around the idea that United are in for Kingsley Coman. I don't think there's anything in that at all. I really don't, but well, let's see. With regards to Lewandowski, he's going to be 31 very soon. And again, I think that Lewandowski... Oh, look, Zlatan came to the Premier League and did well. Lewandowski, I just feel... Sorry, I'm yawning. I'm very tired. 80 minutes on the Old Trafford pitch yesterday. That's why I'm yawning. Absolutely knackered. But what a day. But in relation to Lewandowski, I just feel you can predict certain players that are going to struggle in the Premier League. And I think Lewandowski, the way he plays football, it's a very different way to the way Zlatan plays it. Obviously, Zlatan, he's very good at holding the ball up. And, he's very technical. I think Lewandowski is more about movement. And I don't know in the Premier League whether he would be able to deal with the pace of it. He wouldn't be cheap either. I think his contract runs for another 2 years, 2021. So it's not... And Bayern Munich always drive a hard bargain. So it's not about, would you take Lewandowski for 25 million? I think, yeah, you would, because but would you take Lewandowski for 50 million? No, I don't think that's the right sort of signing for Manchester United again, if I'm honest with you. Before we sign any players, first things first, terminate Ed Woodward as the CEO, says Red Devil Fighting. And if Aubameyang can do it, Lewandowski can do it, says Matt Johnson. Well, it's a bit like saying if Salt can do it, Pepper can do it. They're totally different. Just because they came from the Bundesliga, Aubameyang's younger, quicker, a totally different type of striker to Lewandowski. So I don't see the comparison there. Maybe some people do. Zaha would be a good signing because he's made for the league, says Gun Mac 10. And Ollie does know how to be in the dressing room, says Clive Moore. And what's your opinion on Lingard? Would you kick him out the door, says Jordan Richardson. Goldbridge, Guy. Shut up, Guy. And I don't really care how you say his name, Anvish. I really don't. Lots of people get my name wrong, so I've never been... I know some of you get really edgy about like, oh, you're getting the name wrong, Mark. Look, trust me, with my surname, lots of people get it wrong, and I don't really give a shit, so I'm not really bothered about whether I'm getting names pronounced right or wrong. There's enough that goes into these shows without me searching how to say a name. Sorry if you don't like that, but that's how I feel about it. Is Ndembele a good option, says Angad? 100%. 100%. And Almaz agrees with you. Almaz, pure and simple. Born in a world where no one will know that song. It's great. Moon Boy says you're an idiot, Mark. 50 million for Lewandowski in a heartbeat. Well, he'd probably be more than that. He probably would be. So, Lewandowski for me, or Lewandowski for me, is not a player I would be looking at. Again, it's too much money for somebody who is coming towards the end of their career. Tillemans, definitely like the idea of him came in. Dulev, definitely do. How much would you take for Rashford, says Harvey Waters? Look, Rashford's not going anywhere. And going back to that question about Lingard, you know what? If somebody offered us 50 million for Lingard, I'd take it. I really would, because I just don't. Lingard's 27 this year, and he's gonna have. What's gonna happen with Jesse Lingard's career? And remember this if you can. What's gonna happen with Jesse Lingard's career? He's gonna stay at United till the end. He's gonna be here for the next 7 years. He's not gonna leave United. He will have the odd season where he has 2 months like he did 2 years ago, where he scores a few goals and everyone's like Messi Lingard. And then he will live off that with average performances for the next year. And that's what Lingard is. Lingard's a squad player. I don't have a problem with him being a squad player. What I do have a problem with him being is a first teamer. And I've said this consistently. Even when he does well, I don't think Lingard is a first team player in a team that is fighting for the title. Like, he would be, if he was at Liverpool, he wouldn't even make the bench. If he was at Man City, he wouldn't even make the dressing room. If he was at Spurs, I think he would probably make the bench. If he was at Chelsea, I don't necessarily think he'd make the bench. And at Arsenal, maybe he makes the bench. So, taking an average line of that for United, he's a bench player. But at the moment, he's a first teamer because we're so short on options. But I don't rate him as a first teamer. I never have. As a squad player, I think, his energy can be very good in the last 20 minutes, but that's what we need to get to. Please enter a name. Says, do you think Tuanzebe is ready for us next season? I really hope he gets promoted with Aston Villa. I really do. And I would like him to stay on loan at Aston Villa next season. That's why I'm hoping to get promoted, because I don't think Tuanzebe, if he stays at United next season, will get many games. But he'll get loads of games if he's on loan. I think that's best for his development. The new Manchester United kit is out. Somebody just said it in the live comments there. I wasn't going to talk about it. I like the new kit. What I would say is I'm quite encouraged by this new kit, because the new Manchester United home kit doesn't get normally released till August. So I was thinking, why would you release the new Manchester United kit when we normally release it in August and we've just had one of the worst seasons ever? And my theory is two. We're releasing it because it's to do with the 20th anniversary, and obviously we've got the 20th anniversary game a week on Sunday, so I think that's one reason. And two, I think that it's so that any new signings are in the new kit, and that will boost sales, because I don't think this is a good time to launch a new Manchester United kit. People are still very raw from last season. They're very fed up. They're not happy. So why are people going to rush out and buy a United kit? Whereas in August, people rush out and buy a kit because they're excited for the new season. So I think a lot of it is to do with the acquisition of players. I think they want to get the new players wearing the new kit. Whereas obviously traditionally, people sign and they're wearing last season's kit. So that's my theory. We'll see if there's anything in it. Mark, thoughts on the new kit? Says Songola Ian 97. I've just given you that there. What else do we need to talk about? I think that just going back to the Tillemans thing, I was thinking about this the other day. Manchester United need to sign players quickly, and we do not need to be bartering over 5 million quid. I look at some of the players that we've missed out on. Thiago, under Woodward, Perisic, Alexandro. The list goes on of players that we were in for them. We were there to sign them, and then ultimately the deal didn't get done because we wouldn't pay another 5 million or another 10 million. And I don't want to see that happening this summer. There's so much business that needs to be done that we can't be bartering over 5 million here and there. Just get the deals done or don't bother doing them at all. But we can't be negotiating for weeks and weeks and weeks. We've got too much business to do this summer. So I really think that's very important as well. Costa, Dybala, Zaha, Lewandowski, Perisic, interest, but won't force it. Yeah, I think about the centre-back situation, I did want to mention Koulibaly as well, because a lot of people are talking about Koulibaly. I've got my theory on Koulibaly. I think that the sources that are talking about Koulibaly are all right. I think Manchester United are massively interested in bringing Kalidou Koulibaly to Manchester United. But I think the problem as I've said many a times, is that Napoli don't want to sell and they want silly money for it. I think if you go to Napoli and go, there's £100 million, they'll sell him because they'll go, is he worth that? No. What can we do with £100 million? You know, we'll go and buy a decent centre-back for half that and pocket 50 million, have a nice holiday. So I think United really do want Koulibaly. I think they wouldn't mind a De Ligt or a Varane. I think Manchester United want a very, very high-end, top-class centre-back, but I don't necessarily think we'll get one. I'm hoping we're going to get one, but I don't think United... I think there's a chance United will go into next season without a centre-back signing. And I know that will cause a massive meltdown, but I think it's going to be because they're only going to bring in somebody that's top class. I don't think that they want to just go and buy any old centre-back. And I do think as well that Manchester United, under the first 3 months under Ollie, defensively we were very good. And that was Smalling and Lindelof. And I think maybe Ollie will think, well, I've got Smalling, I've got Jones, I've got Lindelof, I've maybe got Twansibi as a backup. Do I need to just go and buy any old centre-back if I can't get the centre-back I want? Which you can agree with, but we do desperately need a centre-back. But, you know, I have to sympathise if that is the view and say, if you can't get a Varane, you can't get a De Ligt because he's going to Barcelona, you can't get Koulibaly because he's too expensive, do you then go and get Harry Maguire or Manolas or, you know, anyone else who may be good but may not be good? I mean, maybe there's something in that. Callum Azar says, has personally playing a football game at Old Trafford changed your opinion on players' attitudes at the club? Well, Callum, to play on the Manchester United pitch yesterday, there's two things that I take from that. There's never any excuse for a bad touch because it's like playing on a carpet. You know, there's no excuse for over-hitting a pass, not passing it correctly, having a bad touch. You know who I'm talking about. How Lukaku can't control a football on that pitch is just beyond me. It is just like playing on carpet. It's perfect. Does it make me feel any different about the players? No, not really, because I think that's the world that we live in. We're Manchester United fans. I've not run around for 80 minutes like I did yesterday for a long time. You know, I haven't. I've played for United Stand FC and I'm knackered after 20 minutes. But yesterday, I ran because it's like, this is Old Trafford. This is playing football. I don't want it to end. And you just go on pure adrenaline because it's like your dream. So you put us in United shirts with talent and we would win the title because we would run and we'd be talented as well. The problem with modern day football is you've got all these players that, are they going to run for the Manchester United shirt? No, they're not. And I don't know why some of them aren't, but they don't have that same passion and desire that we have for our football club. And that's why when you get these sort of players, when you look back through the years for United, the Gary Nevilles, the Roy Keanes, the Ryan Giggs, the Paul Scholes, the list goes on, that they'll just go for that shirt. And, you know, mention some other clubs, John Terry at Chelsea, Steven Gerrard at Liverpool. These players who would just go through everything for that club. We don't have many of those players anymore, and that's what we need to try and recruit this summer, but it's going to be difficult. Blake the Third says, hey Mark, have you heard about the Patrick Van Aanholt and Wan-Bissaka rumours, and what are your opinions on it? I think both would be good. I don't think we're going to sign Wan-Bissaka. I've said it all along. He's a very, very good right back, and if we sign him, great. But I just don't trust the sources. I think they're talking nonsense. But having said that, anything can happen in the summer, and I think United do like Wan-Bissaka, but I think he will still be a Crystal Palace player next year. And if we were to sign him, then I would obviously be very, very happy, but I don't think we will. Patrick Van Aanholt, he's a decent left back. I don't think he's better than Luke Shaw. So are we bringing him in as a backup or as a competitor for Luke Shaw? I don't mind that. We do need backup at left back. I mean, if Luke Shaw got a bad injury, we have got nobody who can play left back, really. Ashley Young and Delo. So, yeah. You trust Ollie's coach quality? Any regrets about Poch, says Antilek? No, I am somebody who wanted Solskjaer to get the job. I'm not reflectively going, well, I wish we'd got Pochettino. I wanted Ollie to get the job. Whether that's right or wrong, I did. I'm not going to change my mind on that. I've got no regrets. I think the summer is the time to judge him. When we go into next season as well. So I'm happy with Solskjaer. I'm not going to say that the club maybe should have gone for Pochettino. That, you know, the club are the ones in charge. There's no doubting he's a great manager, but at the moment I'm happy with Ollie, and I'll stick with him. The Football 454 says, Mark, what's your thoughts on City's potential Champions League ban? If they get banned and Arsenal win the Europa, then United get the Champions League by default. I think it's right that they get banned. I would love the Premier League to do something about it as well, because they're quite clearly been up to something for a number of years that isn't right, and I would love them to be dealt with properly and banned. And I think the Premier League should be looking to do similar things as well, but they won't. Look, Arsenal getting the Champions League because of that, and then we get in the Champions League. I'm going to be quite blunt about this, and I know a lot of you will disagree. I would rather that we were in the Europa League next year. I think we need to take our medicine. And I know it's like cod liver oil. We need to take that cod liver oil, and it's going to taste horrible, but ultimately, long term, it might do us some good. And that's a really good analogy, that is. We need to take our medicine. Cod liver oil doesn't taste very nice, but ultimately it's good for you. And I think that's what United need to do next season. Bit of cod liver oil every single day and work back to being good again and healthy. Because if we go in the Champions League next year, we're nowhere near... We're not going to win it. We get the music, great. But Manchester United, we're in a bad position. I've accepted that. Let's build now. Let's build. And I think that we're in the Europa League. If we go in the Champions League because Man City cheated, well... I don't even feel comfortable with it. But if it happens, it happens. I will not be cheering Arsenal in the Europa League final, though. Even if I know that means we're in the Champions League next year. I don't want Arsenal to win. I don't like Arsenal. But Arsenal ultimately probably will be in the Champions League, won't they? Even if they lose to Chelsea, they'll get in there. So, they can have that by default. But I'm not that comfortable with it. Should we go for Godin in a short-term deal, says Mankanan Balaji? No. He's going to go to Italy, and also he will be... I think he's too slow for the Premier League now, to be honest with you. Anyway, Transfer Daily Live. There you go. It will be back tomorrow in the morning at 7 a.m. But being at Old Trafford yesterday, I was just running out of time to get it up for 7 a.m. That's what she said. And also, I just thought, opening day of the transfer window, let's do a live one. So there you go. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do smash a like on the video, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. Get your notifications on. Loads and loads of transfer stuff going to be going on over the summer. And if you want that breaking news, interaction, United Stand's the place to be. Please do smash a like on video. I'm back again at 8 o'clock tonight, unless anything happens during the afternoon. The transfer window's open now. You never know. Why could United not announce? We could announce Daniel James from Swansea this afternoon. His season's over at Swansea. Our season is over. That deal could be done very, very quickly. Keep an eye on that one. Thanks for watching. I'm back at 8 o'clock. Oh, and I'm playing FIFA today at 1:30 on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. I'm playing FIFA, by the way. So Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. Get over there, subscribe. I'm doing my FIFA stream at 1:30. So if you want to see United playing quite well, challenging for titles, that's the place to be. So I'll see you at 1:30 on that, or 8 o'clock on here tonight. Van der Sar just confirmed that De Ligt is going to the Premier League, apparently, says Benjamin Davies. I still do not think that will happen. I think he will go to Barcelona, but let's see.